Hello, this is the information video for English language in Year 11. Just going to run through a few things that are useful for parents of Year 11 students this year to know. So, where have we been? So far, in Year 10, there has been a focus on literature, particularly studying the two main texts and the bulk of the poetry that's required. Alongside that, however, the students have also been learning how to respond to particular language question types alongside the literature learning. So they've sort of had this blended learning where they've been learning the skills for the language papers and how to complete the language tasks alongside their literature learning. They completed a paper 2 in class mock at the end of last year. Now, they should know their marks and their grades for that paper. If they do not, it might be worth having a word with your student, your child, and saying, do you know what you got? If not, they need to talk to their teacher. It should all be in their yellow books. They've been given feedback on how to improve on that, and we'll be sort of picking back up on that through the year. So where are we going? Let's talk about what the exams look like and how they work, and what students will be asked to do. So there are 2 exams for English language. They are both an hour and 45 minutes, and they both follow the same basic format where you have section A is a reading section where they're given 1 or 2 pieces of writing to read and they answer 4 questions. The questions get progressively more difficult and then therefore carry more marks as they go through. And each question tests a specific assessment objective, and I'll talk about those a bit later, I think. Each question is asking for them to demonstrate a particular skill, a particular ability. And then section B, we say to give about an hour of the hour and 45 minutes on section A. Section B is always a writing section. We say to spend the 45 minutes on that. They're given a brief to write something. Basically, they're asked to write something. And it's all about matching the style of writing to the given genre, audience, and purpose. So they've been given a particular task, a particular type of writing to do. They just need to make sure that they match that and they sort of meet that. It's also about structuring their writing in a particular way, considering the impact that every choice they make will have on the reader, and I've put it last because it is lower on the list of important things that they're looking for, but the accuracy of spelling, punctuation, and grammar, as well as paragraphing as well. Some more specific details. I won't just read through all of this. I'll make this slide available somewhere so that you can access it. But basically, paper 1 is all about fiction, where the piece of reading you have to do in section A is a piece of fiction, and then the piece of writing you have to do in section B is a piece of fiction. There's a choice of 2 tasks. Normally, there's one descriptive task and one narrative task, so one that's focusing on describing a scene or a setting, and the other that's focusing on telling a story. But it doesn't always work like that. And in reality, I tend to find the best approach is to always treat it like you're writing the beginning, the opening of a story, and therefore you're doing a lot of description of setting and character. So you're ticking both boxes there. You'll notice that there are 2 questions in the middle, question 2 and 3, that are both worth 8 marks. That's language analysis and then structure analysis. That question 3 tends to be the weakest of the questions because students get confused about what they're supposed to be referring to and talk more about language than they do about structure. So that's something that's worth bearing in mind. Paper 2, on the other hand, is all about non-fiction, and it's about how writers express their viewpoints and their perspectives. Section A, in the reading, you get 2 pieces of non-fiction. They'll both be around the same subject. So in the past, there's been 2 about mountain climbing in different ways, and there's been 2 about camping in different ways, that sort of thing. One of them will always be from the 19th century because the board feel it's important to um, challenge students with something they may not be so familiar with the style of writing. Again, sort of 4 questions getting progressively harder. And then the section B is to write a piece of non-fiction. You don't get a choice of task, you just get given the one. But it's based around a statement about a particular issue, and then you're asked to write that in a way that either agrees or disagrees with it. Basically, the point is to persuade your reader to either agree or disagree with that statement. And it will specify what type of text to write, so a letter, speech, article, and the audience. So often it might be like a speech for an assembly in your school, or a letter to a local newspaper, something like that. I will get there in lessons. The best way to prepare for these language exams is practice. It's all about practice because there are 2 ways that students don't perform well. One of them is getting the timings wrong, so not spending enough time or spending too much time on some questions, giving them not enough time on others. And the other thing is that often if they don't know what the examiner is actually looking for. So both of those things can be dealt with by practice, particularly timed practice, and feedback. So that's what we'll be doing this year. We're going to be setting plenty of practice papers in class, at home, giving feedback on them, and therefore building student knowledge and understanding of how to approach each of those questions and each of those papers. And how can you support them at home? Of a variety of different ways. First of all, I've said make them and then changed it to help them do the practice. When we're setting practice papers, if you are able to provide them the space and the time that they need to do those, that is absolutely one of the best things that you can do for them at home. Also, we use Seneca to set revision tasks, homework tasks. Make sure that they're doing that, ask them about it, ask them what their scores are like on that. The great thing about Seneca is if you get a particularly low score on a particular thing, you can redo it, and it sort of adapts and teaches you in the best way the things that you've missed and got wrong in the past. And finally, it's just get them reading as much as possible. I tend to say at this point in year 11, any reading's good reading. So if they're reading magazine articles, newspapers, websites giving them information about particular things, anything like that. And obviously reading novels is a really great thing as well. In terms of other helpful resources, there's a chap, an English teacher called Mr. Brough, who has a channel on YouTube where he walks through particular exams and talks about how you'd answer them and then walks through marked examples. Really, really useful. In terms of revision guides, I highly recommend the CGP ones. There is a language workbook and then a corresponding revision guide with it. They're very good. Just make sure that you get the one for the AQA exam board, or it will be giving you the wrong information. And finally, the AQA website itself has plenty of information for students. There's also past papers on there that you can download and have a look at. I hope that's been useful and given you a sense of where students are going and what they need to be doing, what you can be doing. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at school. I am Mr. Dodd,